People are struggling and looking for answers. God has given you the solution and has called you to leadership. Now it's time to grow and prepare while learning how to use your gifts. Jamal is an experienced leader that uses his gifts to lead change. Now he's sharing what he's learned with you so you can fulfill your leadership assignment. Prepare to be ignited, to lead like a champion. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Igniting Champion Leaders Live. I am your host, Jamal Maxsam, Igniter of Champion Leaders, CEO of Lead Like a Champion, and a curator of Champion University. My assignment is to ignite those called to leadership, because leadership is a calling, not just a career choice. But those of you who are called to leadership, my assignment is to ignite your ability to lead transformation as well as operate in your gifting that God has given you. We all have unique gifts, and it's very important to use those gifts as we lead and influence other people, because the gifts that we were born with and given enhance our ability to lead and were for the purpose of fulfilling our purposes and our assignment as a leader. And so those of you watching on the various platforms, thank you so much for watching live as well as watching a replay. I want to ask you and give you the opportunity to comment, like, share, and save this video while the video is available. But definitely comment and like, and so that I can respond to your comments and see how you are engaging with this content. Also, I want to say hi again to those in the VIP, which is the Igniting Champion Leaders Club on the Clubhouse app. Those of you who are listening live as well as on a replay, remember the chat box is open. Feel free to put comments in the chat box, and then once the video portion ends, you'll be able to come up to the stage and share your thoughts about what we're discussing, or ask any questions that you may have. And so remember to invite people into the room, into the space, and share it out throughout the various means that we can share it there on Clubhouse. All right, so today we're talking about breaking the lid. One of the things I was thinking about as I was sitting actually on Sunday, I was listening to my mentor talk, and he was talking about the law of the lid. Now, the law of the lid is a leadership principle that's discussed and developed by John Maxwell. And basically, the law of the lid basically refers to the leadership ability of the leader. And it simply says this: it's the leadership ability of the leader. It is the lid on the personal and organizational effectiveness. And so what that is saying is your ability as a leader is the lid on the effectiveness of you as a leader, but as well as the place you are leading. So where you are leading cannot be more effective than your leadership ability. Notice I didn't say skill set, because you can not have the necessary skill set, but still can be an effective leader for the place you're leading to surpass your leadership ability. Because remember, your leadership ability is different from your skill set. And as a leader, you don't have to be the encyclopedia of all knowledge and know everything or be the best at everything. As a leader, you have to know how to lead and how to develop people and how to pull in the people who are the best in their specific area and make sure they are properly placed so that they can function in their area of strength as well as gifting. That's what I call gifts-based leadership, while also using the strengths-based leadership approach. And so it's very important to understand what the lid is, because the place you lead can only go as far as your leadership ability. Not your skill set, but your leadership ability is the determining factor in how far where you are leading can go, and the degree of impact the place you're leading can have. And so that's the leadership lid in a nutshell. And so in order to take your team to the next level, you got to remember that you have to go to the next level. A lot of times leaders put development into place and they say, hey, I'm going to develop my team. They bring in people like me and other consultants and coaches and mentors, and they talk to their team. However, it's good to develop your team, but you have to also engage in development. One of the things that I did when I was leading schools is whenever someone came in and provided professional development for the teachers, I was in that development with them because I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow in that content myself. But also it sent the message to the team and to the people I was leading that one, I wasn't above learning and that I was in the process with them, which helped them to connect with me in a greater way as we were implementing the new thing that we were learning. So remember, your team can go to the next level, but in order to do that, you have to go to the next level. You have to accept the invitation to go to the next level. Now, let me tell you about the box, because a lot of people talk, you hear the phrase all the time, we want to think outside of the box. You know, you should be creative, think outside of the box. But here's the thing, the box is the container of how things were done in the past. So when you are looking at thinking outside of the box, you're really saying, let's think outside of, or let's think and act beyond how things have been done in the past, not just, you know, a phrase for coming up with a new idea. A lot of times this statement is made in relation to, hey, come up with something new, come up with a new idea. But it's more than a new idea, it's the beyond the past. Because sometimes we just take past things and try to remix it and to make it work in a present situation, which might not be the best thing to do. And so you want to remember that as leaders, we are encouraged to think outside the box. We encourage other people to think outside the box. But here's the thing that I've noticed. Many times leaders think outside the box, but then add that new thinking, that new perspective, that new way of doing things to their current box, or they create a new box. I'll say that again. Many times leaders think outside of the box. They think beyond what has been done in the past, beyond their normal, and then they take that new perspective, that new idea, that new system, that new way of doing things, but then they just put it into a new box or put it into their old box. They it's almost like they add to it versus really breaking it. And what happens when they add to it is the new thing becomes just something they do, and it just blends in with the norm and never really transforms how things are done. It just adds to how things used to be. And so whenever you want to think outside the box, you want to think in a creative way, and you want to think about how can I transform what we're doing and how can I take it to the next level so that I can continue to bring transformation to the people I am serving through my leadership. Meaning the people the organization is serving should receive transformation, and the people that I am leading should reach their full potential, because that's what transformational leadership is all about when you embody it. And so a container is this. Let's talk about a container. Containers are meant to refer to the means of access to your solution, but they can also limit the impact if the leader does not view the container properly. So containers are normally ways of accessing the solution. It's what you put your platform on, how people access your services, how people really benefit from what you're serving people with. But a lot of times, if the container isn't viewed properly, it can also be limiting. You know, in the name of having structure, and I totally believe in structure and systems, but in the name of having structure, it can limit the expression that you can have to bring transformation. It can be stifling if your container is not viewed correctly and through the right lens. And so what I'm encouraging you to do today is to break the lid, to break the box, and crush the container. And what I mean by that, don't just press past the leadership lid. Don't just raise the bar or raise the lid where you're going to have to press past it later. Don't just think outside of the box, being creative, and don't just have a container. I want you to break the lid so that those who are coming be after you, those leaders that you are developing, don't have to experience the confines on their leadership ability. I want you to create a new normal and not create this thing that's always consisted of this is how we do things. Let your new normal be a place of creativity and to create a place of openness to thinking as well as implementation. And when I'm talking about crushing the lid, I'm saying don't allow your container that by which you offer your services to contain you. And so here's some things I want to give you really quick to help you break the lid, break the box, and crush the container as a leader. Because remember, it is your responsibility to help steward or nurture the culture and the environment. While you're not the sole one responsible for building culture, you're responsible for setting the tone of the culture and nurturing it, because everybody plays a part in the building of the culture. But here are three keys I'm going to give you. Number one is focus. You hear me talk about focus a lot. And so it's essential in order to really break through some things, you want to make sure you are focused. You have to be focused on the people you're leading, your leadership assignment, and the impact of the assignment's fulfillment. Because you have to have this dual focus on not just your assignment, but on the people, as well as how the fulfillment of that assignment is going to impact people. Because a lot of times, if we are so focused on the assignment but not the people, we risk becoming so task oriented that we lose the degree of relationship. If we are so focused on people and relationship in an unhealthy way, we can lose focus or lose sight of the assignment, which is the reason why we're all together in the first place. And so you want to make sure you have that dual focus on the assignment as well as the people you're leading, but also in order to continue casting vision and to continue inspiring people by that vision, you have to keep focus on the fulfillment of that assignment or the fulfillment of that vision. What is it going to look like, or what does it look like as we are walking out this thing and living this thing? So the vision is not just something you do when you're internally marketing and have posted up in your place where you're leading, or it's not just things you put on your website or email headers or email signatures. Your vision has to be something that's living and breathing. You have to embody it, and you have to make sure that the people you are leading embodying it in order for it to be a fulfillment. So the first thing is focus. You have to be clear and distinct in your vision and your sights on the assignment and the people you're impacting and the people you are leading. Because there are a lot of things that would try to distract you and take you off focus, or try to get your attention where you'll be stuck in the day-to-day things or stuck running around in circles versus really making progress. Because there's a difference between activity and productivity. There's a difference between busyness and really handling business. There's a difference between movement and progress, because you can be moving, and if you go in a circle, you're not necessarily making progress. See, that is the scientific explanation of acceleration. See, when you look at the formula for acceleration in science and physics, they talk about, yes, it has something to do with speed, but it also really refers to moving positions and never returning to the previous position. So when you're talking about breaking lids and breaking through some things and crushing containers or things that would try to confine and restrict you as a leader, as well as restrict the place you're leading, we're talking about moving positions and not returning to the previous state. That's why I said you have to crush the box, because you don't want to return to the previous state nor add something new to that previous state. You want to totally transform the way you do things. So that's the first key, is focus. Now the second key is creative perspective. You must have a creative perspective as a leader, and you have to encourage creativity in thought as well as actions, and not put limitations or restrictions on those we lead, on how they and how they think. Let me say that again. Your creative perspective, you must encourage creativity and not put limitations or restrictions on those we lead, and as well as on how they think, because you want to make sure that as people think of things that might seem abnormal or seem like it doesn't fit or seem like whatever, you don't want to squelch that line of thinking. You want to accept those ideas and then see how they can apply to that current situation. And if they don't apply, make sure you have your norms and your culture set. It's like, look, we're brainstorming, nothing is off the table. If it doesn't apply, it just doesn't apply. And it's not a personal against you. It's simply that this situation calls for a different strategy or a different way of approaching it. And so it's important that you encourage creativity, because there is more than one way to accomplish a thing. And you don't want to be limited in how you want to accomplish the thing that you're supposed to accomplish. But here's a caveat to that, and some wisdom that you have to watch. As I just said, there's more than one way to accomplish a thing. You have to make sure the way you do a thing is in alignment with your branding and your assignment. Because remember, the ends do not justify the means. You can't just you can't show a lack of integrity or cut corners saying I got the end result. And you can't go through a process to get a result that doesn't align with who you are as a leader, or the values and the culture of the place you're leading. So process is just as important as the destination, and almost more important. But what I'm saying is, you don't want to put limitations on people, because the creative thinking and creative way of acting could broaden the expression of the place you're leading and cause you to achieve that vision in a way that you might not have thought was possible, but in a way that is certainly possible. All right, here's the third key. You want to cultivate an environment, and this matches with the second key, because before, the second key was about creative perspective. Now this one refers to a creative environment. You want to cultivate an environment of creativity, freedom, and structure. You might be like, how did we do that? Well, I can tell you, but here's the thing I'm going to tell you right now. You want an environment that's creative and free. An environment that doesn't feel free, that feels restrictive. People aren't able to really think creatively or respond creatively or act creatively. And then in a restrictive environment will impact how they view your leadership. And you can have the best leadership approach, but the restrictions in the environment will make them feel micromanaged, and they will make them feel like you are using a dictatorship style of leadership. And so that environment speaks volumes, just like your actions speak volumes as a leader. So you want to have the environment creative, you want it free, but you want structure. Because here's the thing, in an environment that's creative and free, where you are encouraging people to be creative and use their gifts, you run the risk of people being zealous and trying to take liberties that they shouldn't. And so you want to make sure you set some guidelines or parameters that help people stay within certain, I don't want to say boundaries, but certain parameters in their freedom. Because what you don't want is people taking liberties that they're not supposed to, and doing and saying things that you're going to end up having to fix or correct, or them doing and saying things that will run people off. Now, this can be a challenging dynamic, because you have to be very sensitive and wise to balance these two concepts, because you want the freedom, but you want the structure. Because freedom without structure can be chaos, but also structure without freedom can be bondage. And so you want to make sure you have that clear alignment between the two factors, so that people feel free, but they know that there is structure, there is order, and it's a safe place for them to grow as a leader as well as grow in their gifts. All right, so that was the third one. I'll review them really quick before I end the video. It was number one was focus, number two was creative perspective, and number three was cultivating an environment of creativity. And so those are the things you want to do to be able to break through any leadership lids and remove them off of yourself and those you are leading, as well as breaking what we call the boxes and crushing any containers or anything that would try to contain you or hinder your expression as a leader, as well as hinder the expression of those you are leading. All right, if you would like more mentorship on exactly how to do this and how I did this in a school setting as well as in a church that I serve in, then I want you to reach out to me. Reach out to me for mentorship. Champion University is enrolling now, and you can get mentorship from me on how to create these kind of environments as a leader, because it's essential that you know how to balance these dynamics so that people feel free and they live up to their fullest potential and they buy into the vision as well as accomplish their own sense of purpose and destiny while helping you fulfill or helping the organization fulfill its vision. So go to jamalmaxsam.org, and then you can get all the information you need about Champion University. This is not a program or anything like that. It is mentorship that's going to help you in leadership and your ability to hear God as a leader, your ability to operate in the power of God as a leader. And so you definitely want to be in. The information is on your screen right now. All right, so that's it for this week's Igniting Champion Leaders Live. I will see you next time. I want you to be successful and lead like a champion. Bye-bye.